Hi guys, how are you doing? Welcome to this video. So in this video, I actually want to show you how to do a parasitic cleanse and a gut detox. And I simply want to show you how to do this because it's coming up over and over again. I do think a lot of people could benefit from this type of information. And right now we're under all kinds of attacks and weird energy where the gut is going to be targeted no matter what. So I have my powder right here. This is Diatomaceous Earth, as you guys know. I also covered it in a YouTube live, but I'm aware not everyone saw that YouTube live, so it might be helpful just to have the separate video. This is food grade right here. Food grade, very important. Diatomaceous Earth. It's actually from the website diatomaceousearth.com. Now, you can also get it online on Amazon or other platforms. I know there are other platforms that sell Diatomaceous Earth. I just got it from the original one, and I've been doing that since 2019 or 2020 on. I've been taking food grade Diatomaceous Earth for the past 5 or 6 years, since like early 2018. So I do take it quite regularly, and that's how I also know it works. Now, because I take it quite regularly, I have this 10-pound bag. And I had one before as well. It lasted me around 2.5 to 3 years, just to give you an idea how long it lasts for a single person doing this around 3 times a year, which is like 3 times 60 days. So a good 6 months out of the year or so. It really depends on how you would use it. If you're a family, this would obviously go way quicker. But I'm really just here to show you how you can do a proper gut cleanse and detox. So I do cover parasitic detoxes and heavy metal detoxins and everything in the Be Your Own Shaman course. I also have a module in the Soul Communication course in case you're interested in a more elaborate module and video. But just for the sake of it, we want to go through why is it important to cleanse your gut and your stomach in general. So your gut is basically the brain of your body, right? Like the brain is like in your head, but your gut is basically the brain of your entire, like I would say the rest of your body. If not even, it's about as important as your brain. When you're sick, most likely your gut is also not cleansed, or it's sick in a form or another. And when you kind of stabilize and balance out all the bacteria in your gut, you will notice. So up until that point, up until 2018, I was pretty frequently sick every winter with a cold or a flu or whatever. There are other factors that tie into that too, which I want to cover into in a different video. But I was pretty frequently, at least once a year or so, I was sick for whatever reason. And there were other things going on. At one point, I thought I had allergies and everything. And once I started clearing my gut out, I could notice a huge difference. And I actually wasn't sick for like 2 or 3 years straight, just to give you an idea of how it may work for you. If you're not eating healthy and you're doing this detox, if you're just eating junk food and all of that, obviously there are other factors that also tie into it. But if you're already eating quite well and you have never cleansed your gut, you will notice a huge difference for sure. So with the gut cleansing, it's extremely important to keep it clear, because also the gut is the seat of our intuition. You got to look at my notes right here. And the intuition is something that's within you. As you guys know, it does run through our gut. So it's basically down here where our gut would be sitting, right? Like having a gut feeling, all of those things. It's incredibly hard to access your intuition in a generous way when it's just clustered full with parasites, with worms, and with all of those things. And that's also, I strongly believe that's also the reason they give us all of this parasite infested food. They put all of that stuff in our water even, and all of the other things where you can get it. So how would you ever get parasites? You can get parasites from anything, really. It doesn't matter what country you live in at this point. I've gotten parasites in Miami in the US. I've for sure gotten parasites in Mexico. I've gotten parasites in Guatemala. I've gotten parasites in Colombia. I even feel like I got parasites in the Middle East. So it really doesn't matter where you are. You can be in Germany, you can still get parasites from whatever over there. It's more about how do you notice you have a parasite, in my opinion. So when I first had parasites, I did not know that I had parasites for the longest time. And when I first noticed, this was back in 2016-ish, I came back from a trip in Colombia. I remember it so clearly. It was like one of my last nights there. Me and my friend had literally just gotten like this slice of pizza. There was no meat or anything on it. It was like a cheese pizza or whatever. And right after, we were both very sick. You know, we were sick to our stomach, like diarrhea, those kind of things. And for me, it just wasn't getting better. So for almost like 2 years straight, I basically had this parasitic thing in my gut and my stomach, but I kept ignoring it until in 2018, I went to Guatemala, got a different type of parasite, and I was basically so ill that I almost missed my flight on my last few days in Guatemala. Another thing I'll never forget, that when I came back, I was like, okay, there's something wrong with my stomach. I need to have it checked out, or I need to have it cleansed somehow. And that's how I came across a whole bunch of holistic healers and naturopaths. And I started the regime with Diatomaceous Earth, and it helped a lot. So the first few years that I had very clearly had this parasite, which was a more extreme form of a parasite. And you might not have it in this extreme way, but you might have some symptoms of it, are basically a bit of fatigue, to be honest with you. I do remember being fatigued a lot. My stomach would feel bloated. So whenever I would eat something, like just a piece of my lunch or a piece of dinner, I would eat a few bites and I would be full. And usually I'm a very good eater. You know, I eat a lot. Like my friends are always like, you can probably eat for 2 people. So I would eat a lot. My metabolism is very good too. But after that, I would only eat a little bit. I would be full and bloated and I couldn't eat anymore, but then I would still be hungry afterwards. So it was the strangest thing ever. It didn't make sense. And that would go on for the longest time. And the reason for that is because the parasites in your stomach are basically eating that food instead of you, and they're giving off something that makes your stomach feel bloated, so that you know, there's just not enough room for both the parasites and the food altogether. So that's a very common symptom. And the bloatedness was definitely something where I started feeling, okay, I might have a parasite or whatever. Another symptom is always check your stool if it's like unusual. And I know this might be gross for some people, but you should be checking everything that comes out of your body no matter what. You should be checking what color your urine is. You should be checking if your stool is unusual. If you have diarrhea, obviously something's wrong, right? But it would be strange if there's just like just a strange smell. And this might be too much information for some, but it's true. A strange smell, that's usually a strong sign of a parasite, you know, because usually it's supposed to smell normal to you. If it's just like the smell that kind of just keeps lingering and lingering and lingering, you know, there's something wrong. And I think you all know what I mean by that. Or if it has this weird consistency that it usually doesn't have. And you're the only one who can really judge your stool by that, by the way, because you're the one who knows your body the best, or at least you're supposed to know your body the best. Another thing that I want to point out is that most doctors in the Western countries will not really know how to check for a parasite. They won't even really know what to give you for a parasite. And so I myself didn't even try going to a Western doctor because of it. When you're in Mexico, when you're in Guatemala, when you're in all these Latin American countries and other countries that deal with it on a regular basis, you can walk into a regular pharmacy and just get random pills for it. That is pharma though, but they will know immediately what to give you for a parasite, for a parasitic detox. So it's a huge difference being in those type of countries as opposed to being somewhere in the US or somewhere in Germany or whatever. I legit had a friend. She came back from Ecuador. She had a parasite probably for like 6+ months or whatever. She almost even fainted because of it, because it made her so weak. And she would go to NYU, New York Hospital, like all of these elite university colleges, like med school type of things, you know, like hospitals that are supposed to know their thing. And none of them could help her out, you know, until I finally recommended Diatomaceous Earth to her, and it's helped her out pretty much immediately, you know, within a month. The main symptoms were gone and all of that. So I know it works. And I know a lot of Western doctors, either they don't want to help you, which is very true, as we guys know, or they just don't know how because they're not schooled on it. And so when you go to a naturopath, they will know. Some of them should know. Most of them should know, in my opinion. So that was kind of that rant on med school America, but also in other countries, by the way, same in Sweden and other places. So you want to make sure you have the food grade one. As I told you, there is a non-food grade one. Never tried it, never bought it, never dealt with it, because even when I use it for external things like getting rid of fleas or whatever, meaning you can get rid of it for like dog fleas or pet fleas, I still use the food grade one. I don't even touch the other non-food grade one. And I think the common misperception or where people are not understanding is that you're not supposed to take the non-food, like you're really supposed to take the food grade one. And some people might think, oh, if they take any type of diatomaceous earth, it'll be fine. But really focus on the food grade one, because the other one is just, I don't know if it acts almost like a poison or whatever. It's just not good. And so you have all of these weird rumors. Like I've dealt with so many rumors over the years from people who were like, oh, don't you die from diatomaceous earth? Isn't this just something you use for the chicken and all of that? And I'm like, just stop being small-minded for 1 second. That's literally what I told one person. And I'm like, you know what? I've been using this since 2018 on, and it's really helped me. And I can only recommend this. And then other people told me that it's too harsh on their body or their gut or whatever. I kind of disagree with that, because you mix it with water no matter what. And it's kind of like a paste in that sense. You know, it's very liquid, very fluidy. So I wouldn't even know how it would cause any harm to your body. I got that one comment on TikTok from a person who was like, they took it for 2 weeks and it destroyed all of the good bacteria in their gut as well. And I'm like, it's not necessarily true, because it actually doesn't really destroy bacteria. It really just destroys the parasites and the worms and all of the stuff that you're not supposed to have in it. So I wouldn't know how it would destroy her good bacteria. And then it turns out she's allergic to shellfish. And what you do have to know about the diatomaceous earth is the diatom, which is basically in the name, right? It has diatomaceous. So the reason it's called diatomaceous is because it's from diatom. Diatom is a creature that lives in the ocean. So if someone's severely allergic to like ocean stuff or like shellfish or whatever, maybe you'll have a reaction to that. You can always contact the site though and ask them beforehand. I personally have not had a reaction. I don't know anyone who's had a reaction up to that date when that one person told me. And I can assure you it doesn't destroy any good bacteria in your gut either. If anything, it actually helps it out immensely. And so you can already tell I'm a huge proponent of it, just because I've seen how it works. So other people are recommending things like, was it bentonite clay or whatever? The issue with that is most of it is so infiltrated and infested with chemicals that you're basically getting a chemical infested thing that is probably just going to cause a bit more harm to your body than any good. So for me, the go-to thing is always going to be diatomaceous earth. And I'm not paid off by them or anything, at least not at this point. I'm really just doing this video to show you, you know, it's very easy and simple to do this. There are smaller packages. Obviously, you have a 5-pound package too. I just know I'm going to use it for the longest time, so I always get the larger one. Now, it's a parasitic detox, meaning it doesn't detox heavy metals and it doesn't detox other toxins necessarily. So other people were telling me that, oh, they just use charcoal instead, or they use this and that, whatever. And I'm like, we're talking about completely different types of cleansing and detox routine at this point. If you want an anti-parasitic, you will take this, which is very important, by the way. If you want something to get heavy metals out, you take something else, and I'll do a different video on that too. If you want something that takes all the toxins out, like for example, you had a food poisoning, you have a lot of toxins in your system, you may want to use activated charcoal. Activated charcoal, by the way, is not a heavy metal detox. There's a lot of confusion on that too. I've been doing a lot of research with heavy metals as well, and that's why I want to make a separate video on it. Activated charcoal, you wouldn't be able to use that for heavy metals. You can use diatomaceous earth, activated charcoal, and a heavy metal detox in the same day. No problem. You can do 3 detoxes in the same day. It literally doesn't take much out of your body at all. You know, it's actually good for your body, but they have very, very different purposes. And I just feel the need to emphasize that, because I've already got a lot of comments on other social medias where they're like, oh, we just take the other thing, we're fine. And I'm like, no, you're talking about completely different detoxes, and you want to make sure your gut is on point right now. And so the thing with gut detoxes is, I just got to look at my notes right here. So first of all, detoxes take time. There's not going to be a one thing, like a wonder pill or a miracle pill that you take once in your life and you're good to go. For every single detox that you do, this includes heavy metal detox, by the way, too, it's going to take time. Heavy metal detox can take up to a few years, even depending on how severe it is. Gut cleansing, gut detoxing with diatomaceous earth is basically a routine. So you take it for 30 days straight, then you take a 1-day break, and you take it for another 30 days. The first 30-day cycle gets rid of any parasites, whatever's in your gut to begin with. So it basically dries it out. It acts like a silica in that way. It's kind of like you're drinking earth or you're drinking soil, if that makes sense, even though it's not necessarily like that, but it's similar to it. It dries it out. If you're taking it in the summer, and because when I first started taking it, I took it in the summer, you might feel very dehydrated. Like I felt extremely dehydrated because it ended up being one of the hottest summers on earth. And I constantly had to drink more and more water with it, but that's because it tends to dehydrate you more. And once you're used to it, you won't have that extreme reaction. It just dehydrates you more than usual. So the first round gets rid of the initial whatever in the gut that you don't want. The second round gets rid of the eggs that were being laid beforehand. And the reason gut cleanses and gut detoxes take so long is because they keep laying them over and over. You could have stuff from like 10 years ago that might take a few rounds to get rid of. So what I do is I take a heaped teaspoon like this. I know this is not necessarily like a regular teaspoon size. So it's kind of like this size. It's between a tea and a tablespoon. I take the heaped thing like this, and then I stir it into a glass of water in the morning and take it. If you're new, maybe take it with your breakfast together. But that's pretty much it. And then if you're really hardcore, you can do another round like this in the evening. I do that at certain points in my life too. I just don't feel drawn to do 2 rounds a day right now, but you can do more than 1 round in a day as well once you get used to it. And so how often do I do it? So I do the 60 days at least 3 to 4 times a year, meaning for a good 6 months and more per year, I'm on a constant cleanse and detox. And that's also how I know pretty much immediately when I ate something that it had parasites. So a few years ago, I think it was like 1 or 2 years ago, I was in Miami. I went to this Vietnamese bistro or whatever, and I had something. It was like undercooked, and I didn't know it was undercooked until I took a bite, and it felt almost raw to me or something. So I swallowed it, I ate it, and then I got home and my gut was reacting immediately. Like I literally knew, just because my gut was so attuned at that point, I literally knew I had a parasite. And once you really get in harmony with your own body, your own gut, you will know as well. But in order to do that, you need to start detoxing it. You just have to start somewhere. So make sure it's the food grade one, just like this one. You can also use it for your pets. So I use it for my dog as well. I use a dosage that's a little bit less, but I think it goes by pounds. So what you would do is go to their website. There is a lot of Q&As, so questions and answers. The same goes for children. If there's under a certain weight, you want to use a little bit less. They also have YouTube videos and everything on it. So it's very easy to get the right doses, by the way. You can use it for your pets. You would do it in a similar way. So you do it for 30 days and then 1-day break, another 30 days. You will notice a difference. You might not be sick with the flu or the cold the following year. You might not even have allergies anymore, because a lot of those I feel are really seated and rooted in gut health. Like a lot of things are just, it always comes back to gut health. And I know a lot of naturopaths will tell you that too. And then you can use it for fleas, bed bugs, cockroaches. In that sense, you would actually spray the powder in the corners of your room or apartment, wherever it's infested. If it's bed bugs, people have told me, I haven't tried this out yet, but people have told me they put it on the mattress and they just did a few rounds like that. It's kind of like very lightly spraying it, not like super, not like this entire thing, but like very lightly just spraying it and letting it sit, and then do another round like a few days later or something like that. I tried it on fleas for my dog, And this is back in last fall, and it actually worked. It's the only thing that worked. I tried like chemical stuff, you know, like the chemical bombs they usually give you by the vet and everything. I tried everything. And for a few months, we were dealing with it. And I was like, this is ridiculous. I'm just going to go back to nature. And so the moment I tried Diatomaceous Earth by spraying it in the corners and also lightly powdering her coat with it, everything turned around. Like we got rid of them with like that within a matter of 1 or 2 weeks. So for sure, yeah, for sure it works. Anyhow, I think that's pretty much all I had to say in regards to it. If you have any questions, let me know. Got a bit longer than I wanted it to be, but I think it's important. And, you know, I'm speaking from my own experience. So I don't know if you know someone who had a bad experience with it. I would be very curious to know what exactly went wrong with that, because the only one that I heard of was she was like allergic to shellfish or whatever. That's why she got this allergic reaction. You know, those are things you can ask them on their website, you know, but for normal people who don't have those type of reactions, I think it's completely fine. Like I recommend it to everyone who I meet in my life, actually. And people also use it. You know, I have friends with a few people who do planting and like harvesting and all of that. They actually also use it for their plants, which I found interesting. I forgot to ask them how they use it. I think they just kind of put it on the soil somehow. But I found that very interesting too. So you could probably use it for a whole variety of uses. I know I've been contacted by people who are like dedicated half of their life to it and who wrote entire books on it, and that's great too. So the information's out there, you just have to read it. And so I use it for this purpose, and you can use it for several different purposes for sure. I hope this helps. I think this is a really important topic, and talk to you very soon. Bye guys.